Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to recap the Showtime Championship boxing card from August 24th. And we're going to preview UFC 164, which happens this Saturday, August 31st. We're going to start with the Showtime card, which had two championship fights. The first one was Victor Terrazas versus Leo Santa Cruz. Take it away, Rob.
All right. Now this was an interesting fight because these are two guys who can really lay leather on. I mean, you talking about Leo Santa Cruz is their Golden Boy is pushing him, and we're talking about a masterful boxer and inside fighter. And he showed why Golden Boy is so high on him. Now Victor Terrazas isn't a slouch. He can lay leather too. And I would have thought he would have been the better boxer because Leo Santa Cruz likes to fight on the inside. A lot of his fights end in knockout, and not only do they end in knockout, they end because his opponents want to go toe-to-toe with him, showing that they're stronger than him. It hasn't happened yet, and he's been knocking people out left and right. The guy is a praying mantis, to be honest with you. Once he gets you on the inside, he likes to dig to the body and work on his left hooks upstairs.
Yeah, and this fight was no difference. Terrazas wanted to go in there and show that he was the bigger man. Santa Cruz was coming up for this title opportunity, right. And he wanted to show that he was the bigger man, he was stronger, he was more macho. And it turned out not to be the case. Santa Cruz landed some beautiful left hooks, ended up closing Terrazas' right eye, and that is what prompted the two knockdowns in the fight and the subsequent stoppage, because he landed that left hook at will. He walked down Terrazas, and none of Terrazas' punches even laid, like, it didn't cause any trouble to Santa Cruz, and so he just walked through, did his work, went home with a new title.
Yes, I like Leo Santa Cruz because he showed that he can walk his opponent down. He walked him down, worked the jab, and as soon as he got him where he wanted to, he started laying those hooks to the body. Now, Victor Terrazas was more than willing to exchange, which was his downfall. I mean, Leo Santa Cruz not only hits hard, but he's very precise and he's a very sharp puncher. And when he hit Terrazas, you could hear it. And in the third round, Terrazas took too much punishment. Those two knockdowns, end of the night.
Yeah, also the volume punching of Santa Cruz is what makes him so potent. Because he's accurate, because he's powerful, and he throws an average of 100 punches around. This guy is must-see TV. So the next time you see Leo Santa Cruz's name anywhere on a fight bill, tune in, because it's going to be a great match. Let's move on to the main event, which was Jhonny Gonzalez versus Abner Marez. And in this one was another fighter coming up, Abner Marez. This was his second fight in the featherweight division, which in his previous fight he had beaten Daniel Ponce de Leon in a shocking knockout. This one did not end the way I thought it was. Honestly, I thought that Marez was going to take Gonzalez into the late rounds, drown him, and end up taking the fight over, because Gonzalez has over 60 fights, and he is a power puncher, but when you're that young and you have that many fights, that can take a big toll on your body, and he's been knocked out before, so I was thinking that it was going to happen again, but boy was I wrong. Sure, let's tell them what happened, Rob.
All right. Now, Jhonny Gonzalez was the bigger man. And we're not talking about he was slightly bigger. At the weigh-in, you could see the height and size difference between the two. Abner Marez started out at 118, moved up to 122, where he's fought a who's who at 118 and 122. But right now, I think he bit off more than he could chew going against Gonzalez. You say he had a lot of fights, that means he had a lot of experience.
Right.
Not only that, the rehydration, I believe he outweighed him by maybe 15 pounds at the very least against Marez, and he looked fresher. So he was able to walk Marez down. Marez really couldn't do too much with his reach yet. So Jhonny Gonzalez, who had, before this fight, 7 first-round knockouts, made it his 8th, got Marez out of there, knocked him down 2 times. On that second one, Marez was nowhere near ready to fight and get up and finish the round.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes. He was not there. The camera panned right into his face on that second knockdown, and you could tell he was somewhere. He was out in the stands, but his body was in the fight. And the ref had no choice but to stop because he was going to get hurt. I mean, the picture-perfect left hook that Gonzalez landed caught him flush. He never saw it coming. And then instead of grabbing to try, or maybe moving to try and clear his head, he went right back into the fire trying to outfight Gonzalez, which was not the best plan.
Gonzalez smelled blood, and he finished him off. Marez, still very talented, never had a lot of wear and tear. We'll see where he goes from now. Right now he's on the Golden Boy, and probably some of the biggest fights that he can take right now would be with top-ranked fighters.
Yeah, unfortunately those guys aren't getting along right now, so we probably won't see those fights. But I'm sure they're going to find somebody good for him to fight. I mean, he's had one of the toughest resumes of anyone in boxing outside of Carl Froch, and he needs a break.
Yeah,
they can give him somebody a soft touch to get him back in there, and we'll see what happens from there. Let's move on to the UFC this Saturday. And we're going to talk about two fights on UFC 64, which is going to be Frank Mir versus Josh Barnett at heavyweight, and then the lightweight title fight between Anthony Pettis and Benson Henderson. We're going to start off with the heavyweight fight, which is Barnett and Mir. Now with this fight, we have two Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts going against each other, and also two former UFC heavyweight champions.
Right.
So this is a big pedigree coming into this fight. Barnett hasn't fought in the UFC in over 10 years. He's been around the world. He's actually the 2009 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Champion. Frank Mir beat Tim Sylvia for his first title win, and then he beat Brock Lesnar later on for his second title win, and he's trying to get that third title shot, and beating Barnett is the way to get there. Barnett is looking to return to UFC and get his second title, and beating Frank Mir will take him big strides in going in that direction either, especially with Daniel Cormier talking about going down to light heavyweight. As far as the breakdown for this fight, I'm thinking it's going to come down to the size of the competitors because both of their skills are top notch. You want to elaborate on that, Rob?
All right. Now, for years, Mir has really fought around 215, 220 range, which is small for a heavyweight, especially when you have fighters that's actually coming down to 265 from maybe 280, 285, even up to 300 pounds. So even though they've met in the middle, Frank Mir has actually put on weight since the second Brock Lesnar fight, where he actually tipped the scales at about 250 to 260, and it's still not his natural size. And even though he may maintain the weight, I think he's around 240 right now. Barnett is a big guy, and not only is he big, but he's skilled. And Frank Mir, who is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, still has to compete with not only Barnett's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but also his wrestling pedigree, which to me, he's actually probably one of the top 3 or 4 wrestling heavyweights in the UFC right now. And Frank Mir has never been that great in defending against takedowns. When he fought Brock Lesnar, you can actually see that difference in the size. And this is in the second fight after Mir has put on the weight. So that's going to be a very big factor. You have two skilled guys. Mir's chance, in my opinion, is to keep it in the stand-up and try to beat him with Muay Thai and kickboxing.
Yeah, I completely agree. If this fight goes to the ground, I think Barnett's size and athleticism is going to take over. He's going to smother Mir, make him make a mistake, and either submit him or ground and pound him out. Frank Mir has to use his speed and his quickness and his excellent stand-up to keep Barnett guessing, not have him, excuse me, not have him able to go for that takedown and keep it up on the stand-up the entire fight.
That's right.
Otherwise, I think it's going to be Barnett's night. Let's move on to the championship fight between Benson Henderson and Anthony Pettis. This is actually a rematch. They fought early in the last WEC match for the lightweight title there, which Pettis took by a unanimous decision, about 2 rounds to 3 on each card. But this time going into this fight, they've taken different paths since going to the UFC. I think Benson Henderson has had the better opponents in Frankie Edgar, Gilbert Melendez. They both fought Clay Guida. Henderson beat Clay Guida. Pettis lost to Clay Guida. And though the triangle theories usually don't work out, I think in this one it will, because the high level that Benson Henderson has been operating in is going to give him that confidence and experience to go at Pettis this time, whereas in the last fight he did a lot of backing up that allowed Pettis to use his speed that he has over Henderson, and this time he's going to grind out a unanimous decision victory.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony Pettis, if you don't know, he has mainly a Taekwondo background, but he is skilled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Very athletic. I don't know if you saw their last match. Take a look at it. One of the biggest moves he landed was a ninja kick off the cage. It surprised Ben Henderson. It surprised us. I'm pretty sure it surprised everyone watching. And Ben Henderson has to watch out for that, because if he gives him space, then he's going to be able to do anything he wants. Ben Henderson is very strong, very good wrestler. If he can smother him and take him down to the ground, he has a better chance than in his last fight. And like I said, he's a lot more experienced now, so he can instill some things that he's learned over his run. He has not lost in the UFC yet. Anthony Pettis has only lost once, and this clash is going to be, it's probably going to be one of the best fights of the year.
Yeah, I think in order for Henderson to win, he has to make it an ugly fight, a very slow-paced fight with a lot of cage grinding, a lot of takedowns, and a lot of ground and pound. And I think he's going to pull it out this time, but it's going to be exciting to see if Pettis can pull out one of those Showtime kicks and maybe change the direction of the fight.
That's right.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, because we got plenty more content coming. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.